Yeah, so just to give you some context and background to the pre-academy, Procision have always run teams from under 7s to under 16s in Reading and Newbury. We decided at the beginning of this season that, you know, the focus of what we do is to develop players to play at higher levels of the game. Our full-time programs are absolutely sort of paramount to that. That's where we massively increase the contact time we have with our players, the level that they play at, and equally the pathways that we can provide our players to go and play at higher levels of the game. We therefore wanted a head start with regards to working with players that were coming into our full-time program. So rather than effectively, you know, wasting time working with players that, you know, we're going to stay at school, do A levels, go do apprenticeship, things like that. We wanted to concentrate on working with players that were going to be with us basically for another 2 years after this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like I say, take you through the presentation. Guys, if anybody's not got their computers on mute, can you stick them on mute for me, please? Lovely, thank you. So I'm going to share my screen, and then it should take sort of between just over half an hour if I can be as concise as possible. But I do like to talk, so it may go on a slightly bit longer. Okay. Right, so the academy, as we call it, so the 16 to 19 academy, the one in Newbury is delivered in partnership with Hungerford Town, who are our non-league partner, and Swindon Town, who are our professional partner. Our mission statement for our football academy group, so there's multiple academies that are working at this level, is to be the leaders in the development of football performance and education programs across the south of England. Our success is measured by the development and education of players, coaches and people. Okay, so yes, players are really important, but equally developing the person is equally as important. We'll provide opportunities and pathways to young people to achieve their full potential in both the classroom and on the pitch. So yes, I'm going to stress a lot about, I mean, the football side of the program, and I know that's, you know, a lot of the boys sat there, that's what they want to hear about, but equally the education part is just as important, because, you know, we're not going to hide the fact that only a small percentage of players will ever go on and earn money out of playing football. So we need to prepare them for all eventualities.
My mom had to listen to this.
Player pathway. So where a lot of you guys are currently at is currently at under 15s football, playing for various different clubs. Some might have played for Procision previously. So you're at the bottom end of what we call our pyramid. You're then moving into our pre-academy group, which is our under 16s. Okay, so that's basically us giving you that year to prepare you for full-time football the year after. So you get to work with myself, and I'm the academy manager for the full-time program, so I look after our pre-academy group. And then the next step is obviously into the full-time academy under 17s to 19s. You could then have the option to progress from that into our under 23s, which has just been announced tonight, that, you know, we're going to be playing in the Suburban League. And then ultimately, I mean, there will be exit routes into, we hope for some, professional football, which, you know, we have achieved in the past, semi-professional football, and then obviously the university routes in both the UK and US. Although we kind of, you know, highlight those as key points within our pathway, that's a non-exhaustive list, as there will be entry and exit points at all different points for players. As I said, we're part of the Procision Football Academy group. So as I spoke about Newbury and their partners, we've also got our Oxford site, which is in partnership with Northley and Didcot Town, and then our Reading site, again, who are partnered with Swindon Town and Hungerford Town. I won't cover that because you're going to see what we're going through in the presentation. So just quick introductions to staff. So I'm the Academy Director. I look after the 16 to 19s program. Stu Davis, head coach, current first team coach at Hungerford Town. Luke Ballard is our head of education. He is a previous scholar within the program that has developed into teaching and now delivers our education. We have Martin Pace, who's our head of medical. So he will look after the boys during the week in terms of rehabilitation, identifying injuries, but equally making sure they stay on the pitch because they're prepared right and they do all the necessary exercises to build their bodies up to meet the demands of elite level football. We have Bill Melos, who's our conditioning coach. So he looks at the players where they need to improve physically to meet the demands of high level football. And then Ian Hobson, who is the current first team goalkeeper coach, he works with our goalkeepers alongside the first team goalkeepers. The partners that we work with on the program, so Precision are an Adidas affiliated club, so we continue that into our 16 to 19s. Okay, so all our training wear is Adidas. We use a statistics partner called Instat. That will be moving to Huddle next year and Y-Scout, which basically they produce post-match reports on our performance teams, and I'll show you an example of that later in the presentation. We use Vio for our video analysis, so all of our games get recorded. It doesn't matter which team you play in within the academy, your game will be recorded and then you'll be able to review it back. Equally, we will spend time within our analysis sessions looking at previous performances. For those that, as they go into the program, feel that an exit route to go and study and play in America is something they'd like to do, we work with a company called Future Elite Sports. So there are students that are currently over in the US that have taken that route, went through them. Spoke about obviously our club partners, and our education partner is Newbury College. So we're local to the West Berkshire area. And like I say, all the education is currently delivered on site at Newbury College, but through our pool of staff. Now, your football overview. So, training sessions. So at the moment, most of you will experience training at grassroots level, which will probably be a maximum of 3 hours a week, so 1.5 hour sessions, plus games at the weekend. So you're going to be doing up to 6 hours training a week. You'll have 2 hours conditioning. You'll have 2 hours of match analysis. You'll learn how to do your recovery properly. So post-match, the day after, in terms of foam rolling, stretching. And equally, you have opportunities to have mentoring with myself and my staff. So if there's areas of your game that you want to focus on and talk about and discuss, then you have time within your timetable to book time slots with us to discuss that. How we work with our players, we work across 4 areas, so technical, tactical, physical, and psychological. As you're moving into this stage of your development, so basically the way you look at it, so from 7s to 11s, that's what we call foundation phase. That's where you're developing the key technical competencies of playing football. You then move into your development phase. That's where a little bit more tactical work comes in as you move from 9v9 football to 11v11. The phase that you're moving into now is called the competition phase. So that's where you're moving into a moment where results and learning how to win games becomes important, simply because, if you are going to play football at higher levels, you need to be able to win. Okay, because if you don't win games of football, unfortunately, people are going to lose their jobs. That is the nature of the game once you get to that level. Seen that recently with Jody Morris at Swindon Town. I mean, but you see it all the time in terms of the non-league game. It only takes a run of poor results in fixtures, and people are out of jobs. So that's why you learning how to win games of football is really important. We spend a lot of our time working in the psychological, the tactical, and the physical in this phase. Okay, so less so the technical, which is why that's why the development phase and the foundation phase are so important. The way we structure our sessions, so we will do technical practices, working on kind of key specifics of performance. A lot of our work is in opposed practices, phases of play, and then various formats of the game. So depending on how intensely we want to work our players, will dictate whether we go 7v7, 9v9, 11v11. All of our players will have individual programs that they'll be working to, so strength and conditioning, position specific, and their match analysis work. So as an example, Stu leads on our performance analysis. He will be setting the boys' tasks post-match. So it will be, use the VO, right, provide me with 3 clips of 3 good things that you did during the game, provide me with 3 clips of areas where you need development. Okay, so, you're constantly building that database of improvement. Our fixture program, so we play in the National League, so equivalent to, well, until this season, the first team. So you play against other non-league teams from within the area, so people like Eastleigh, Basingstoke, Havant and Waterlooville, Oxford City, Chippenham. Okay, so all all clubs that are running similar programs, under 19s. Our performance squad will play in the FA Youth Cup, and then our development squads will play in the Tactic League and the ML League. So just to give you an idea, like in our academy program, we'll run sort of 4 teams across the 3 years that we have players. All right. As of next year, we'll have a new training facility. Okay, and this is pertinent to the pre-academy as well. So for those that are familiar with John O'Gaunt School, there's currently an AstroTurf pitch there. It's currently a sand-based one. A new 3G pitch is being built sort of on top of that to make it bigger, extend it, and meet the demands that we require as an academy for playing and training there. Equally, Hungerford's first team will be training out of that facility. So we hope to be in that by October at the latest. Hopefully it'll be finished before then and we're in there for September, but in the meantime, we will have a suitable alternative, but that's exciting for us. So unique opportunities with us. So ultimately, as I said, we have exit routes at various different points for players. If we have players that are excelling in the pre-academy, then, straight away, we're going to go and put you in on trial somewhere. We did that this season with one of our players, Henry, who went into Swindon. Unfortunately, he broke his toe whilst he was in there, so his trial didn't continue, but we'll be looking to send him back in at the beginning of next season once he gets himself fully fit. We will do that throughout the under-19s program. So, it's really important that, people can sometimes see that, once they've got to 16 and they haven't got a scholarship, for example, they see that's the end of the road. But, I can give you so many examples of players that have come through programs like this and gone on to be, the highest level professional players. Jamie Vardy, Chris Smalling, Asson Balonga, okay, have all come through programs like this, gone on to be international footballers. All right, so it's how hard you're willing to work to get there that dictates whether you will or not. If you embrace everything, then you're going to put yourself in the best situation possible. The added advantage being as well, a lot of teams now run under 23, so they're not making judgments on players at just 16 and 17, 18. They're taking a kind of wider angled approach to it, because they know that players don't finish physically developing it until they're kind of 18, 19. So it's really important that they do that. Ultimately, through our pathway, we're working towards a contract with Hungerford Town. So there will be training opportunities for players that are excelling in our program. First of all, that will be into the 23s. Then obviously, if you're doing well in the 23s, then it'll be pushing up to train with the first team and match opportunities and see where you go from there. Unique opportunities that we offer in terms of end of season stuff. So we take the students on tour. So we either do tournaments or train and play, where they go and work with coaches from clubs across Europe. To support their development, we have guest professionals that come in and speak to the players. So it can be on anything from their lifestyle, media, nutrition, psychology, conditioning, just to broaden their horizons and just mix it up a bit rather than it coming from the same voices all the time. So our sports science program, and this is the bit that is different to what you will have experienced anywhere before. So what I've got up on the screen there, that's one page of a 20-page report that gets produced after one of our games. Okay, so we can see where we're performing well across what areas. I mean, are we a possession-based team? So are we dominating possession? Are we, how, if we're a high pressing team, where are we regaining the ball? How successful are we at regaining the ball? How are our attacks formed? I mean, do they come from different sides of the pitch, different areas of the pitch? Hopefully so that it all ties into what we've been working on tactically, to go, okay, yep, that's what we worked on, therefore that's what we'd expect to see. And that's proven that in reports. Equally, that's a team report. The players get individual reports on their own performance. So it will break down all of their involvements within the game. So their passes completion, where they played the passes from, accuracy, all types of things like that. In addition, and the pre-academy players will get this as well. So this is kind of like our reporting system with the players. So we call them their individual development plans. It identifies, their position, their key physical characteristics, so height, weight, dominant foot. Then breaks down the 4 key areas that we spoke about in terms of where we develop our players and what we feel are the most important for the position that they play. Then they have their development priorities. Okay, so in, like, for example, the technical area, what are the areas that you really need to focus on? And we do go through that through the 4 areas. And then in the bottom box, you have the players comment box. So just general ones on how he feels he's developing, how he's getting on, working towards his improvements, and equally coaches put their feedback in. Okay, and we do this sort of periodically, so probably about every 8 weeks, just where we review this. But to be honest, through the one-to-one process that we have with players, this is continually evolving. So this because it's on a shared document that's online, then we can edit this freely. Okay, here's an example. So we spoke about individual programs. Here's an individual conditioning plan. So this one's working on a player that needed to develop their power. Details what they need to do for their warm-up, what they're doing in week 1, gives them the exercises, how many sets, how many reps, how much rest they must have. They can do that when they're with us, or equally they can do that when they're at home. So the types of exercises we're asking them to do don't require any specialist equipment. And again, this kind of links back to what I said about players wanting to progress and dedicate themselves and be the best they can be. The ones that do this kind of work are the ones that will, progress and really kick on. The ones that kind of receive that and chuck it in their bag and don't ever look at it again, I mean, they'll be the ones that are coming back, to us in the future and going, well, why am I not good enough to play here? And it'll be because you didn't dedicate yourself fully to the program, because we can't give you any more than what we do. Our players kit, so our training wear. So, if you're signing up to the pre-academy, for those that attended the trial last week, you will have seen some of our existing pre-academy boys in the precision training wear. That's what all of our players are expected to wear. So there will be a package for the pre-academy, which will be a lesser version of the full-time kit package. It's all Adidas. It's done through our new club shop, which is through Pro Direct Soccer. So basically, you just go online, you order your items, put your sizes in, put the personalization in, so initials, and then you should receive it in 2 to 3 weeks. The match kit, we just follow what the first team wear. So we supply the shirts. The boys just need to buy their own shorts and socks. Okay, to ensure that we've got all of our players playing in the same kit because of the frequency at which the first team change their kit. Now, education pathway. So this is probably the important bit for parents to understand what is my son going to study alongside doing this football program. Okay, so we've got, if I go round in a clockwise direction, starting in for me it's the top left. So for students that don't achieve 5 GCSEs at 4 or above, okay, and particularly don't get a 4 or above in GCSE Maths or English, we offer the NCFE Level 3 Diploma in Sport and Physical Activity. Okay, so NCFE will probably be a term you're not familiar with. It's just an awarding body, same as BTEC. Okay, so some of the students might be studying BTEC Sport at the moment, leading up to kind of their GCSE. So it's just a different awarding body to BTEC. The diploma is the equivalent to 2 A levels, which you would study over 2 years. If the students achieve 5 GCSEs at 4 or above, and that includes Maths and English, they will study what we call the extended diploma in sport and physical activity. That's the equivalent to 3 A levels. Okay, so and I'll explain in detail, how that equivalent works when you look at it in terms of if you want to go to university and progress down that route. For those that are doing really well in terms of their academic attainment, we offer the extended diploma plus an additional bolt-on A level. Okay, so our A levels are limited because the college don't provide, you don't have a pool of tutors that are delivering that in-house. So we We have a blended learning format, and I'll explain why we utilize that for the program, but that's the equivalent to 4 A-levels. And again, will be studied over 2 years. In addition, we offer some 1-year courses, which is the NCFE Level 2 Certificate in Fitness Instructing and the NCFE Level 3 Certificate in Personal Training. How that kind of fits in is typically what will happen is the students will do their NCFE in sport and physical activity. And then for those that want to stay for a 3rd year and are really keen to kind of make that break into the 23s and the first team, they'll use the 1-year course as like a 3rd year. So to see if they can really kind of make that break, or if they're not ready to go to university and almost want to see it as, I would say a gap year, but it's not a gap year because they're working, but they view it in terms of buying themselves a year before they have to go and off to university or off to the US. So the NCFE Level 3 explained. So it focuses on the study of the sports and physical activity sector, and it provides opportunities to acquire a number of practical and technical skills. I've listed some of the units that they cover, so you can get an idea of the types of things that they're working towards, and the vast majority of it links into what we're doing on a daily basis through their football program. So things like they're learning leadership in sport, so the key characteristics of what is a leader. Do you know what I mean? What is it? What does that role involve? Where in sport is that particularly pertinent? Assessing risk. Now, it doesn't matter what workplace you work into, being able to assess risk is really important. And for us as coaches, we're doing that on a daily basis to make sure our players are safe whilst they're with us. They'll do sports coaching, exercise health and lifestyle, preparing for a career in sport, sports injuries, technical and tactical, which links into their individual learning plans, sports development, organising events. That's just a handful of the 18 units that they'll cover if they're on the extended diploma. The bolt-on A-level options. So we've got 5 subjects that we offer. The reason we only offer these ones is because they are delivered in a blended learning format, which means that subjects that require any kind of practical delivery, so things like biology, PE, it's just not possible to do. So these are effectively textbook-based A-levels. So we've got maths, English, business studies, psychology, sociology. So this is, as I said, this is for academic high achievers and those that maybe want to diversify what they'd like to do after the program. Okay, so if they looking at university and they know that they need English as a prerequisite for the course that they want to study, then obviously we're going to be looking at in terms of their study program when they join us. Give you an explanation of blended learning. For those, it's a term that's become more pertinent around the COVID period. Obviously that's what all students were experiencing whilst they weren't in school, blended learning. So it's flexible learning that caters around the demands of a football performance, training and competition program. You will be provided with additional time slots in your timetable to study your A-level. But basically, like, we used to be in Park House School with the program, and we had students that were following a full A-level timetable. We just couldn't make it work around the football timetable as well. They just didn't work together. So this is the only way we can get an A-level involved that works for the football side of it, and it works for the student as well. There's online tutors that are fully qualified experts in their chosen fields. Many of them also teach in schools, colleges and universities, or are working as professionals in the private sector. You'll have support through the academic support tutor base at Newbury College and assigned subject leads at the college, okay, to support you with your qualification. Students, in addition to the online support, will receive termly face-to-face one-to-one sessions with their academic support tutor. So, I mean, we want to, I think the key things that we're trying to kind of embed within this is that you're getting regular feedback and you've got support as and when you need it with your course. The A-level students will be studying in a classroom with other A-level students, facilitated by a member of Football Academy staff. So they'll be logged into their laptops, for example. They could all be studying different qualifications, okay, but there will be a member of staff in there with them to make sure that we can support as and where and when required. Now, to understand how this fits into university and so that you probably have a better understanding of when I'm saying this is equivalent to 3 A-levels, what does that mean? So if you were to look at our NCFE, okay, it's broken down into to basically 3 qualifications. So the diploma, which is 60 credits, the certificate, the diploma, and the extended diploma. Okay, so the extended diploma is 180 credits, 60 credits is 1 A level. Okay, so if a student was getting passes in their assignments, that would be the equivalent to an E at A level. If they were getting merits, it'd be equivalent to a C, distinctions equivalent to an A. Okay, so if across the extended diploma, you came out with a triple distinction profile, you'd be getting the equivalent of 3 A's at A level, which would generate 144 UCAS points. So the minimum requirement for most university courses in the country at the moment is between 96 and 112, but each course varies. To give you an example, Robbie Brannigan, who's captain of our first team at the moment, is going to John Moores University in Liverpool to study football studies and science. That was 112 UCAS points for him to get entry to that course. So he more than achieved that through his academic profile. The other thing to take into consideration, if university is the route that students are considering, is that generally, and this is from my own experience, is that if they're of a good level playing ability football wise, university will lower the entry requirements because they'll want them there as an athlete to join their university. I won't spend a huge amount of time on the education essentials because it's really sort of more relevant a year down the line. But basically, you receive exactly what you receive at school at the moment in terms of parents' evenings, one-to-one support for your son. We do require our students to have laptops to work on because of the assignment-based nature of the course. And I've already explained the entry requirements with regards to what course you follow. Here's an example of a timetable, so it gives you an idea of how much they train, where the sports science fits in, and where their lessons fit in. So I won't spend ages talking through this. You'll see at the moment, this is the first year's timetable. They train in the morning. Once they come back in after training, they have their conditioning analysis, and they finish the day with education. On the Tuesday, they flip that, so before doing their sports science, they'll have their education, and they have a slightly earlier finish on a Tuesday. Wednesday is allocated for fixtures and their tutorials, and then Thursday is an academic day. Okay, so because it's generally a recovery day after fixtures on the Wednesday, it's more loaded with education and the opportunity to have one-to-ones with staff. And then we kind of ramp down towards the end of the week. So it's just training and education without any sports science. So they have a slightly earlier finish on a Friday. One thing to note, because I get this question asked all the time, is once they are with us, we're responsible for all of their travel. So if we're training off site, we take them there. If we need to bring them back in from training, we're responsible for that. In terms of getting to games, we're responsible. So you don't have to worry about that side of things. All that the student needs to worry about is getting in the morning and getting home at the end of the day. I suppose this is the big thing for us because we speak a lot about standards, behaviours, and the types of people that we want to develop. So these are the expectations for players, and this will be exactly the same if you're in the pre-academy next year. Okay, with regards to what our expectations are of you as a player. So in this environment, obviously, classroom attendance, you have to have 100%, practical attendance 100%, and all your classwork completed. At that point, I can select you for fixtures. If you don't meet that, then unfortunately you won't be playing games. To dictate what squad you'll be playing in, it will be based on performance and attitude in the classroom, performance and attitude in training, and performance and attitude in matches. Okay, so everything is going to be dictated by your standards and your behaviours. So that those that kind of maybe get things wrong, that could be the difference between you playing in my performance squad or my development squad. Okay, to give you an example how this works within the pre-academy group, so if you turn up late for a match, expect to be on the bench. Okay, that's a non-negotiable. If you turn up wearing the wrong kit, don't expect to play. All right, these are the standards that we set. I mean, we accept if you want to go on and achieve the highest levels of football, then you've got to have the highest level of standards, and that's everything. Okay, you don't pick and choose when you want to apply it. So to give you an idea of some of the progression pathways or exit routes from our course, so Ollie went to university in West Alabama, so US scholarship. studying business management off the NCFE qualification, is now the goalkeeping coach at West Alabama. Okay, so he's actually contacted me last week to recruit a goalkeeper for him for next year. You've then got other students that have gone on to university to study various different disciplines. So I spoke about those that, you know, wanted to diversify away from sport. So Levi again went to America and went to study criminal justice. Seedorf did a Bolton A-level, and then that gave him access to criminal law at Loughborough. Charlie went on to study business. So you can see that although, yes, you're studying a sports qualification, that doesn't mean you are completely set in stone that is going to be my pathway with regards to career in the future. You can move away from that. Those that did want to choose a sports route, okay, these are some of the examples of the courses they went on to do. So you'll see like sport and exercise psychology, health and exercise science, physical education. So Callum is actually a PE teacher now in Reading. Luke went on to do sports therapy. So you can see that they decided, right, I really like that as part of my course, therefore I'm going to pursue a career in that through my route into university. These are some of the clubs that we've sent boys in on trial at over the time that they've been with us. So with various degrees of success. Obviously, it is tough to because you're effectively, when you're going in at this, you know, under 19 level, you're fighting for a pro contract. Whereas under 16, I've got more chance of getting you in at a pro club before scholarships get offered. But got to do a lot of hard work between, you know, August and really sort of October to get that going, because decisions are made on scholarships, you know, November, December time. A couple of examples of players that have progressed through the program and gone on to play for the first team. So Connor Lynch, and on the right, Matt Berry-Hargreaves. I've got to be, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun a bit, but Matt came through the program. He was one of these players that went on trial. He went to Bristol City, went to Oxford, got a scholarship at Oxford United, signed a pro contract at Oxford United, came back to Hungerford Town, and I believe is currently in negotiations with a club in League Two about going to sign for them for next year. So I won't say too much at this stage until it's a fully done deal, but I know that's in the process of happening. And then like career pathway, so like some of the examples of what previous students have gone on to do outside of obviously university. So yes, some have gone on to a contract to play football, Matt as an example. Full honours degree at university in the UK. Some have gone on to PE teaching and instructing. Some have decided to stay with us for a third, fourth and fifth year and do a degree through the UCN with us, and that feeds into our under 23s. They're playing scholarship in the US. Obviously, employment opportunities in the sports sector. Okay, so we spoke about the various different disciplines and what people have pursued careers in. And then obviously, then you've got the non-sports related professions that people have decided to choose to pursue. So apprenticeships, particularly in the trade, so electrician, carpentry, plumbing. We've got players that have gone into recruitment, into sales. I think the key thing to highlight is that, yes, qualifications are important, and don't get me wrong. Do you know what I mean? That there will always be an element of that being absolutely necessary. But I think for me, if I'm just putting my employer's hat on, I'm looking for key skills and key behaviours and the person because ultimately I'm going to teach them to deliver the way I want, you know, people to work for me. So it's all about having the key skills, and I think that's something that, you know, we do put a lot of focus on, is, you know, encouraging leadership skills, communication skills, working in a team environment, discipline, organisation. I mean, all the key things that employers want. I mean, I think we embed that really, really well in our players, because ultimately, if they don't adhere to that, then they're not going to play football, and that's what they want to do. So yeah. I'm not going to go through that because there's just some quotes of like parents of players that have previously been on our program. I'll do a PDF of this and send it through so you can look at it in your own time, and we don't need to worry about that at this stage. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to open this up for questions. I think the final thing for me to wrap up on, there's my contact details, by the way, if you haven't got them already. So if you do want to ask any questions or got anything you're not sure about, then please feel free to contact me. But I think the key thing for me to emphasize and wrap this up is if, you know, if your son is 100% going to stay at school, do A levels, definitely going to go and do an apprenticeship. Okay, don't pursue this any further. Okay, do you know what I mean? Because ultimately, do you know what I mean, I want to work with players for the next year that are going to be with me for a further 2 years. That's the important bit for me, because, you know, we are putting this pathway in place to develop players that can reach higher levels of the game. If it's something that I know, listen, they're 15 years old, and a lot of them are probably sat there going, well, I don't really know what I want to do. Do you know what I mean, when I finish my GCSEs, and I get there'll be an element of that. But so what I would say is, like, only make that decision if you're 100% ruling this out and going, no, I'm definitely not going to do that. Okay, if it's something that, you know, is going to be in the mix in terms of what you're considering, then continue to pursue with joining the pre-academy. Okay, and then obviously we'll have further conversations as things progress. I will highlight though, and you know, this kind of goes one or two ways, is I do ask players to make a decision by Christmas on what they are definitely doing, because I need to know, because obviously I'm recruiting for the following year and I need to know how many places I've got left available to offer. My priority is my pre-academy group. They are going to be, you know, they are the basis for my performance squad moving forwards. So, you know, that's why they're so important to me. But if I have to go and recruit outside of that because, you know, players are deciding they're going to stay at school or go into work or whatever it is they're going to do, then I need to know what positions I need to recruit for, do you know what I mean, where I'm recruiting and things like that. So just the only thing that I ask is honesty. Okay, I'll be honest with you throughout the whole process. I just need you to be honest with me throughout the whole process and not get to the end of the year hiding it and going, well, I was always going to stay at school, so thanks very much for the year and see you later. Do you know what I mean? I would just expect that kind of level of decency with regards to, as soon as you know that that's what you're going to do, then communicate that with me. And then I can kind of work around that, obviously. So yeah, so that's the presentation and everything wrapped up. Obviously, we're in for our next trial on Wednesday next week. As I said, if you know this is something you're definitely not considering, then drop me an email, let me know, so that I can obviously plan for the teams that I'm setting out for next Wednesday. And yeah, and hopefully I look forward to seeing as many of you there as possible. Thank you very much for your time. Catch you later.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
No worries.
Thank you.